Hello, and welcome to the North Coast Journal Preview. This is a show where we take a look at what's coming to this week's edition of the North Coast Journal. I am your host, Tanya Shrum, and we are joined by our California local news fellow, Annie Toe, and our arts and features editor, Jennifer Fumiko Cahill. Welcome to you both.
Hey, Tanya.
It's a lovely week and another lovely time to welcome the all-ladies edition of the preview.
I know. And with, double the Asian American presence of preview.
We have all that, and in Women's History Month, which I think is still a thing. So let's enjoy it while it lasts.
Yes, while you can.
And with that, we have a very special cover of the sophomore edition for Annie to get into this week. Annie, do you want to fill us in on what's coming to this cover story?
Yeah, so I wrote a story about an upcoming fish market that's coming to Humboldt County. Actually, when I first moved here, which was pretty recently, I was really interested in knowing if there was a fish market, and Jen actually told me that someone was planning one, and that's how the story kind of got started. I reached out to Ashley Velis from Ashley Seafood, and she's the one who's been spearheading making the fish market, and she's been working with the North Coast Growers Association, specifically with someone named Megan Kenny. And I spoke with the both of them about how everything got started, and it's been something that she's been planning since, or been talking about at least since 2018. So now that it's coming into fruition sometime this year around May or June in Madaket Plaza. So now it will be much easier to access fresh local fish instead of having to travel all the way to the docks. One of the things that I spoke to or heard about from local fishermen was that not many people know you can buy fish from the docks, or people struggle to know when they can go to buy fish on the docks. So having something consistent like a fish market in the city of Eureka will definitely help with that.
Annie, that's amazing, because I didn't know that you could go and buy directly from the fishermen and fisherwomen out there. So this is a really exciting update.
Yeah, and there's going to be a stalls for the local fishers to have whatever is their latest catch, and people can go purchase what they're looking for and take it to a processing station that will be on site to get it either gut and gilled or filleted, whatever they prefer. And there are also talks, although it's not yet confirmed. Ashley did mention about getting some local food trucks into the fish market as well, and the potential of having the food trucks serve dishes made using the fresh produce of the fish that is caught there, which is really cool.
That's a great idea. And your story not only went into what's to come, but what was. And even though in your story you talk that a lot of folks thought that there used to be a local fish market, the history doesn't quite spell that out. It seems like this will be the first of our kind here in the county.
Yeah, there was actually plans to have a fish market in 2011 or a form of a fish market, but the plans didn't come to fruition. If you go to, I spoke with city manager of Eureka. Um, I spoke with him, Miles Slattery, about the fish market, and he said that if you go to Jack's Seafood, the area there was part of it, at least, was meant to be a place to sell fish, fresh fish, but that never ended up happening. And so now the city is supporting actually seafood in creating it in Mattakit Plaza.
And then you also spoke with a commercial fisherman named Yoshi Shimura. I hope I didn't butcher that pronunciation. And he talked about some of the really benefits of cutting out some of the middleman and how that's going to be better for the commercial fisher people's pockets.
Yes, I spoke with Yoshi and another fisherman. His name is Patrick Burns. One of the things they mentioned was how it's to sell to big processing facilities, the prices that they receive from that is not high at all, and it's something that they struggle, that many local fishermen struggle with, that can make it difficult for them to make a living off of it. And the and the processing facilities will still take the fish and buy it for cheap and then sell it at a higher price to consumers. But by cutting out the middleman, they will be able to sell directly to consumers at a more affordable cost for the fishers who to make a living from, and also make it also affordable for the consumers as well. And one of the quotes that stuck out to me when I was speaking to some of the local fishers was Patrick Burns. He said that it's difficult competing against these big fishing boats who can fish in quantities, large quantities, and it makes them make it harder for them to focus on quality. And it makes them have to go out and fish in larger quantities, which is not very sustainable for the environment as well.
Well, and this is also going to be really welcome that more of the fish can stay in this community than the fisher folk having to transport it to the Bay Area for a better market price, and or stay here and risk the fact that if it doesn't sell in time, it's not fresh or not viable.
I just want to say I really enjoyed when you spoke to, I think it was Burns who said that fishing is a really difficult life. And what did he say? Like if you fall in love with the misery, your heart will never be empty. And he's like, I just want to be able to make a living from this miserable thing that he's compelled to do and that he loves.
It
Yeah,
kind of sounds like that quote deserves a sea shanty underneath of it, you know?
he said his whole family grew up as fishers, and he fell in love with it, and he just kept doing it even despite the fact that it's really difficult to like make a living off of.
Oh, go ahead, Jennifer.
No, I was just saying the sea calls to you. What can you
The
do?
seed, right? Well, and this whole structure hopefully will make it a more sustainable livelihood for our local fisher folk.
Yeah, hopefully that this will be able to cut out the middleman and provide what farmers markets are able to provide for farmers, one of the things mentioned that was from Megan Kenny with the North Coast Grocers Association was that what fishers are experiencing is very similar to what farmers are experiencing in terms of struggles with having to compete against these large industrial boats or farms, and while having to also deal with these low costs that they get for their produce.
I mean, that definitely sounds like that kind of echoes throughout the economy for farmers, for small businesses. And so this is a great idea to at least kind of, stop the damage of trying to compete with the bigger, fisher boats. And
yeah, I'm looking forward to it when it comes.
Me too. I just want to give us a brief shout out. Some of the photos that ran with the story this week are from Wendy Chan, who, as you know, provides some lovely food writing for us. And she is somebody who I know will be perched on the edge of her seat for this because she's always going down to the docks for fish. I heard she is known to like trade a cheesecake on occasion. And I have certainly gotten a call from her when she's like, hey, I'm going to get there. They have black cod. Do you want some? And, I really encourage people to attend it once it's available because I think it's going to be great for us all.
absolutely. Well, before we officially pivot to Jennifer for more of what's on the table, do you have any final thoughts for your story, Annie?
I had a lot of fun working on this story. It started off just with me being curious if there was a fish market in the county because I just moved in. And then it turned into learning more in depth about local fishers and their struggles, as well as the roles that these types of local markets play in. And I'm just super excited to see it when it comes and get some fish.
Well, thank you so much for this reporting, and I encourage everybody to pick up their copy of the journal and read the complete story. And with that, we're going to turn to Jennifer and find out what's happening on the arts and features beat.
I know, speaking of things that I'm excited to eat, boy, I am thrilled. I just want you to know that sometimes when I go out and try restaurants and things, people from the office come with me. And this time, Holly Harvey came with me to the walk in, walk out restaurant. Let's hear it for restaurants doing wacky names. It's over on, let me see, is it 2nd Street? I got to look at it again. The fantastic thing about walk in, walk out, yes, 307 2nd Street, is that they do Lao and Chinese food. So a lot of folks who are cooking in Thai restaurants and Chinese restaurants in Humboldt County are Southeast Asian. They're Lao people, including, of course, we have Thai people, we have Chinese people, but we also have a lot of Lao people who are cooking. And it's only in recent years that we've seen some of those Lao dishes show up on menus. And one of the things just in the past few months or so just arrived on the menu at Walk In, Walk Out is Pak Sen. I'm probably saying it wrong, but it's sometimes called Khao Pak Sen, sometimes called Ka Piak Sen, and it is a noodle dish. And listen, I know you're never tired of pho, right? Never. No one's ever tired of pho. Look me in the eye. But sometimes you want a heartier noodle, and this is your guy right here. It is a half tapioca, half rice flour noodle. Does this mean that it's gluten-free? Maybe. There you go, celiac people. Anyway, this noodle is very soft and very chewy and lovely and thick cut, kind of like udon, but not quite. And it has that wonderful full richness. And when the water used to cook those noodles, kind of like when you use your pasta water, the secret to all good pastas is to reserve some pasta water and then use it to thin your sauce later. Pro tip. Um, the wonderful starch that comes off of these tapioca and rice flour noodles makes the soup silky and sort of pearly looking. And there's a chicken or a pork version, and they are delightful. And they come with all kinds of green onions. And you know that wonderful kind of chicken broth and green onion, refreshed and wholesome. Oh my God, someone out there loves me feeling you get from a bowl of pho. You're still getting that, but it's a silkier consistency. And another pro tip, our server suggested the first time we went a little bit of sugar in it. Now I know there is some controversy regarding putting a little sugar in your pho, and I don't know if this is a can of worms I want to open, but I must say that in this noodle dish, just a little bit of sugar, see what you think, see what you like, because it will hit that sweet, salty, spicy, sour from the squeeze of lime, heat from the attending chili sauce, and it just is everything. And you walk out and it's kind of like, I said to Holly, who came with me, I was like, is this how people feel after exercise when they say they experience a high? This wonderful feeling that I feel, sort of like a post sauna. Is this how people feel after a massage? It's wonderful. I recommend it. The other thing that I got to try finally, I have been lax. I have been slow to sample. Perhaps you have noticed the Tacos Don Paco truck, Fortuna, Eureka. It's in both places, in Eureka by the Travel Lodge and in Fortuna. Is it over by Creations? Possibly by Creations. It's fantastic. For one thing, I love a truck with a trompo. The trompo is the big spit that turns, and the pastor meat is just up there, and the pineapple juices are dripping down, and it's just heavenly. Also, fun fact, it actually is inspired by Lebanese cuisine, hence pastor, shepherd. Who knew? I love these mashups. And while we're doing the mashups, they have birria ramen. You were hoping somebody would have it. In fact, Cocina Mariposa also has it sometimes on the weekends. Keep an eye out. But the Tacos Don Paco truck, it is a lovely, lovely, thick, flavorful, very meaty birria consomme. And it's covered in cilantro and white onion and little slices of radish. And then you dig under with your chopsticks, and there are your wonderful instant ramen noodles. Don't hate on instant ramen noodles. They have their place. They are special in their own way. And it is just so good together. When you feel like, I kind of crave instant ramen, if you've got another few bucks on you, if this is not a moment of desperation for you financially, spring for the birria ramen, because it is like a combination of, it almost reminds me of the Korean noodles with the beef. It almost reminds me of yukgaejang.
Oh.
Noodles with the beef. In terms of the consistency of the beef, but the flavor, of course, is wonderful. And is there anything Mexican food can't do? She can do everything. She's a queen.
She can.
She really can. She's doing so much more than the other girls. So I'm really happy for everybody to try that, and other things too from the taco truck, especially the stuff that comes off the trompo. That pastor is a delight.
And as usual, right before lunch, Jennifer's making us hungry.
I know. I'm so mean.
Well, you're inspiring is what you are.
I'm inspiring you to eat.
Yes.
That's a form of inspiration. That's okay. I'll take it.
That's absolutely. And you're also inspiring us with your article this week on the FAQ of the GOP.
Yeah, I'm a woman of a certain age, Tanya, and I remember the Cold War, and I remember what so-called Reagan Republicans were called. And I have a lot of feelings about that. But when I look occasionally at something like the long State of the Union-esque speech delivered by Donald Trump, and I actually wrote this, we were on deadline, I wrote this before that speech, I don't see a lot of those same values. And sometimes I wonder about what it must feel like to be like a Cold War Republican who is all into family values and everything else, and to come to this wild west of Trump Republicanism. And so I made a satirical FAQ asking questions like, so now we're like into Russia. Now we are snuggling up to a former KGB authoritarian. Does that feel normal? And the suggestion for how to deal with that kind of inner conflict is to replay the movie Rocky IV in your head, but with Michael J. Fox in the place of Drago, and with like Canadian leaf flag boxer shorts, and just accept that now Canada is the enemy. We also, we get into the Elon Musk weirdness. And I know I say his name wrong. What? Say something. Anyway, we get into the weirdness of his personal eugenics project of having babies with women that he feels are as genetically superior as he is. Take a moment to accept that as truth as he understands it. And also family values. I remember when that was a thing, when I don't know if we can claim that anymore. We also touch on things like how do you really be so anti-drag, but be okay with J.D. Vance's guyliner, which is honestly in the style. I have not seen eyeliner done like this. I was in junior high and high school when girls used to be smoking in the bathroom and using a Bic lighter to heat up their eyeliner. Do you remember this, Tanya? You used to have
I was going to say, Jennifer, we're in the same age range, and I remember a summer where all boys were putting on eyeliner that looked like it would shame Sid Vicious. So I'm like, is this a callback, friendo?
I know. Are we going to start wearing roach clips in our hair again? I don't know. I don't know. Are we bringing back Aquanet? Only JD can tell us. And so anyway, it is a hopefully a smiling look at some very, very serious stuff that's going on in our country, because I keep having the same conversations with particularly women and queer people about feeling stressed out and anxious and a bit forlorn. And so I felt like now is a time maybe when it's hardest to laugh, maybe now is the time to have a little laugh and probably get out in the streets and protest. But do we have another minute? Can I plug something else that's in the paper?
I think we have just enough time.
The Zero to Fierce Festival is happening at the Arcata Playhouse. I can't help it. Whenever I say Zero to Fierce, I go, Anyway, the Zero to Fierce Festival is happening at the Arcata Playhouse, and there's all kinds of really great stuff. You should check in the calendar. It's more than I can get into here. All kinds of one-woman shows and all kinds of exhibits and things like that, and events and gatherings and lunchtime talks. And one of the things that is happening is Mavis Muller, who is an artist from Alaska, is making this enormous basket that is going to have some community input. People can write things on origami cranes and add to it. And she's making this enormous woven basket that they're going to set fire to. And that's a thing you could go see. And it's kind of like, Burning Man, but without the tech bros and all the money and the trip to the desert and those little bugs that bite at you. But it should be a really interesting event and an interesting piece of art to go see.
And cathartic. Well, thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Annie. And that wraps up our time for this week. The current edition of the North Coast Journal is available on newsstands now. Pick up your copy today. Or, of course, you can go find it online at northcoastjournal.com. I am Tanya Schrum. Thanks for being with us and staying informed and supportive of our North Coast community.